The little cafe on the quiet corner was filled with the soft sounds of morning conversations, the aroma of fresh coffee and sunlight pouring through the large windows. Everything looked peaceful. Yet one table near the window carried a silence so heavy it seemed impossible to ignore. A young woman stared down at her untouched cup with trembling hands before quietly admitting that the man sitting across from her probably already regretted agreeing to meet her. She expected the familiar look of disappointment she had seen so many times before. Instead, the single father smiled with a kindness that completely caught her off guard. And what happened after that changed both of their lives forever. If you believe kindness can heal broken hearts, and that everyone deserves a second chance, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to Soulful Tales 2 for more emotional stories that stay with you long after they end. Rowan Hayes had never imagined that life would make him both mother and father before his 35th birthday. 4 years earlier, a sudden illness had taken his wife, leaving him to raise his cheerful 7-year-old daughter, Hazel, alone. Every morning began before sunrise as he packed school lunches, braided Hazel's messy curls after watching countless online tutorials, prepared breakfast, and somehow managed to reach his job as an architect on time. His co-workers admired his determination, but none of them truly saw the loneliness hidden behind his calm smile. At night, after Hazel had fallen asleep, the quiet house reminded him that love could disappear without warning. He convinced himself that his life was complete as long as his daughter was happy, but deep inside, he missed having someone to share ordinary moments with. Hazel noticed more than Rowan realized. She often watched him wash dishes while staring silently out the kitchen window or pause at old family photographs before quickly putting them away. One evening she asked why he never laughed the way he used to in the videos she loved watching from happier days. Rowan hugged her tightly and simply said that grown-ups sometimes forgot how to smile because they worried too much. Hazel answered with the innocent wisdom only children possess, telling him that maybe someone could remind him. Her words stayed with him longer than he admitted. Several weeks later, Rowan's older sister quietly arranged a blind date without telling him many details. She insisted he deserved one afternoon that wasn't filled with grocery shopping, school projects, or laundry. Rowan resisted at first, believing no one wanted the complicated life of a widowed father. But Hazel surprised him by helping choose his shirt and insisting he should go. She said she would spend the afternoon with her aunt and hoped her dad might come home smiling. Across town, Maren Ellis prepared herself for another disappointing meeting. At 32, she had experienced enough heartbreak to believe happiness belonged to everyone except her. A serious car accident years earlier had left a noticeable scar along one side of her face, and a slight limp that became more visible whenever she was tired. Although she had rebuilt her career as a children's librarian and inspired countless young readers with her warmth, many people judged her before learning who she really was. Several dates had ended awkwardly within minutes, and others had never called again after meeting her in person. Eventually, she stopped expecting kindness and learned to protect herself by assuming rejection would always come first. When Maren entered the cafe that bright morning, she immediately recognized Rowan from the description his sister had provided. He stood politely as she approached, offering a warm greeting without hesitation. Yet years of painful experiences convinced Maren that the disappointment would come eventually. Before their drinks even arrived, she quietly lowered her eyes and admitted that he probably regretted coming because she wasn't what most people expected. Instead of looking away, Rowan simply listened. After a gentle pause, he answered that the only thing he would regret was judging someone before learning their story. He explained that life had already taught him. Appearances never revealed the battles people carried. Those simple words dissolved the invisible wall Maren had spent years building around her heart. The conversation slowly became effortless. They spoke about favorite books, childhood dreams, embarrassing cooking disasters, and the strange comfort found in rainy afternoons. Rowan described Hazel's endless imagination and how every cardboard box somehow became a castle or spaceship inside their living room. Maren laughed until tears formed in her eyes, admitting she secretly loved helping children believe impossible adventures were real. Hours passed unnoticed as the cafe filled and emptied around them. When Rowan finally mentioned his late wife, his voice carried sadness but also gratitude. He explained that grief never truly disappeared. It simply became quieter with time. Maren listened carefully without trying to erase his pain or compare it to her own. She understood what it meant to carry invisible scars every single day. For the first time in years, both of them felt understood instead of pitied. After the date ended, Rowan walked Maren to her car. Neither rushed to promise a future or pretend they had found instant perfection. Instead, they agreed that honesty had made the afternoon unexpectedly peaceful. Rowan drove home feeling lighter than he had in years. Hazel met him at the front door with excitement sparkling across her face. She immediately noticed the smile she had hoped for. Rowan admitted he had met someone genuinely kind. Hazel celebrated by spinning around the living room, convinced that good things happened whenever people gave each other a chance. Over the following months, Rowan and Maren met often during sunny afternoons in parks, museums, bookstores, and neighborhood cafes. They never tried to impress one another with expensive gifts or grand gestures. Their relationship grew through ordinary moments. Maren patiently listened as Rowan worried about balancing work and parenting. Rowan encouraged Maren whenever painful memories threatened her confidence. Every conversation became another reminder that healing rarely happened all at once. It arrived quietly through trust, patience, and consistent kindness. Eventually, Rowan introduced Maren to Hazel. The little girl instantly noticed Maren's scar, but instead of staring, simply asked if it had an exciting story behind it. Maren smiled and explained that sometimes life left marks to remind people how strong they really were. Hazel nodded thoughtfully before announcing that brave people always looked interesting. The three of them spent the afternoon reading books beneath large trees while sunlight danced across the grass. It felt less like strangers meeting and more like a family discovering each other. Not everyone approved. Some neighbors whispered that Rowan was moving on too quickly, despite several years having passed. Others quietly questioned whether Maren could fit into a ready-made family. Maren overheard enough hurtful comments to doubt herself again. She considered stepping away, believing Rowan and Hazel deserved an easier life without constant judgment. When Rowan discovered her fears, he reminded her that people who criticized from a distance never carried the responsibility of living someone else's life. He explained that Hazel didn't need perfection, and neither did he. They only needed honesty, compassion, and someone willing to stay when life became difficult. His quiet confidence gave Maren strength she didn't realize she still possessed. One Saturday afternoon, Hazel's school organized a family picnic. Parents gathered across the playground, while children laughed beneath clear blue skies. Rowan invited Maren to join them, though both knew curious eyes would follow. At first, Maren felt every glance settle upon her scar, but then Hazel proudly took her hand and introduced her to classmates as someone who always found the best adventure stories. The children welcomed her without hesitation because children often reflected kindness more naturally than adults. Watching Hazel's fearless acceptance slowly changed the attitudes of several parents as well. Months later, another unexpected challenge arrived when Rowan lost an important client, creating financial uncertainty that forced him to consider selling the family home. The stress returned heavily, and old fears threatened to overwhelm him. Maren quietly supported him without making promises she couldn't keep. She helped update his professional portfolio, encouraged new opportunities, and reminded him that setbacks did not erase years of hard work. Her belief in him became the strength he had once offered her. Eventually, Rowan secured a better position with a respected architectural firm that valued both his talent and dedication. The difficult season ended not because life became perfect, but because neither of them faced it alone anymore. One beautiful spring afternoon, Rowan returned to the same cafe where they had shared their first meeting. Sunlight streamed through the familiar windows exactly as it had that unforgettable morning. This time, Hazel accompanied him, carrying a small bouquet of wildflowers she had picked herself. When Maren arrived, Rowan thanked her for teaching him that love wasn't about replacing the past. It was about allowing hope to grow beside cherished memories. He gently asked whether she would continue writing the next chapters of life with him. Tears filled Maren's eyes as she realized she no longer saw herself through the cruel opinions of strangers. She saw herself reflected in the unconditional acceptance of a man who valued character over appearance, and in the joyful smile of a little girl who had welcomed her heart before, noticing her scars. She quietly accepted, surrounded by laughter, sunlight, and the peaceful certainty that genuine love asked only one thing, to be honest. Years later, visitors to that same neighborhood often noticed a happy family walking together. During bright afternoons, Rowan still held Hazel's hand whenever they crossed busy streets. Even after she insisted she was growing too old for it, Maren continued filling the local library with magical stories while encouraging children to believe every person carried a story worth hearing. Their home was never the fanciest on the block, but it overflowed with warmth, patience, and quiet acts of love that mattered far more than appearances. The greatest lesson their journey offered was beautifully simple. Broken hearts do not need perfect people to heal them. They need compassionate souls willing to stay, listen, and believe that scars, whether visible or hidden, never define a person's worth. Sometimes the sentence spoken in fear becomes the beginning of a miracle, because someone chooses kindness instead of judgment. Before we reach the end, please write in the comments. Kindness always sees beyond appearances. Your words may encourage someone who desperately needs hope today. If this story touched your heart, reminded you to never judge someone by their appearance, or inspired you to believe in second chances again, please like this video, leave a heartfelt comment, share it with your friends and family, and subscribe to Soulful Tales 2. Your support helps bring more uplifting stories to people who need hope, healing, and a reminder that love still exists in the world. Because sometimes the most unforgettable love stories begin with someone believing they are impossible to love, until one kind heart quietly proves them wrong.